Right, who's ready for the December update from my conservatory? And this is going to be featuring some of the plants that I've recently added to my collection, some struggle buses, and also some of the things that surprised me this month. Hi, my name is Memo, this is my channel, Houseplantygoodness, and essentially it's a place where I like to geek out about my big passion. You might be able to see some of it behind me, it's tropical houseplants. So yes, I know there's a lot of people that have been looking forward to the first update on some of the plants that I've recently purchased from my Grow Tropicals video, and I will kind of add that at the very top there. And also some updates from plants that we've kind of looked at over the past few weeks or months, basically. And you all know these videos tend to be really relaxed, but I've done things. I've done things to the conservatory, I've done things to my setup, and I'll see if I can add clips or videos. I'll bring up some of the plants so you can kind of see how they're doing as well, the things that I can pick up. But by and large, I am surprised by December. Before anybody asks, I know that people have kind of noticed some of the browning that is happening around some of the Esmeraldense leaves. The vast majority of the Philodendron Esmeraldense, don't try to say Esmeraldense fast. This is something that happens, the vast majority of the leaves are fine. This is something that generally tends to happen around the time when the seasons change because I didn't adjust the watering fast enough. It's adjusted now. I can guarantee you there's a new growth point there. The second Philodendron Esmeraldense has got new growth points there as well. The Anthurium Esmeraldense is doing really well. Everything behind me is doing okay, so do not worry at all about that. But let's start with some of the things that I've changed in my space, and then I can start bringing up some plants. So one of the major things that I have done in terms of changing things in my space is some of my lower shelves, I've actually either added new grow lights, and I bought the Barina, I'll add it at the top there, the kind of strip lights from them. It's the first time I've tried them, but so far, so good. I'm really surprised. I shouldn't be surprised because they have been some of one of the grow light brands that has been around for decades, I think, because they were the ones that originally were doing the T5 light bulbs. I think they still are, but these are their LED forms of that, basically. So that's doing really, really well. Hopefully I would have added some pictures or videos here so you can kind of see what the setups are looking like. Please excuse how busted some of the plants are looking at the moment because they weren't getting the best light before, but they are now. And I'm already within like a week starting to see huge changes in some of these plants. So a big up for that one. And then a lot of my other kind of nooks and crannies and some of the shelves that are lower down that don't really get much light during the summer, but it's enough to kind of keep most of the plants happy. In the winter, they're not getting anywhere near enough light, believe it or not, even in here. So they definitely needed their kind of grow lights if they already had some kind of cranked up and kind of dialed up. And I'm already starting to see big changes. One of the things that I wanted to show you, and something that I have learned recently, is something that's happening with my Anthurium Papi. And you might be able to see it here, and part of the issues you can see, can you see some of these leaves, like this one specifically, you can see that it's kind of going backwards, and this one was doing the same. This, believe it or not, was the same, and it's now leveling out. And the newest leaf, which is, can we take a moment? Because, and look at the back. Whoa! Stunning plant. These were all starting to move backwards, and I did a bit more further research because I had a grow light that was coming at it from the side, and it was kind of coming straight on, and it was the leaves were moving away because some of them were also getting a bit too much light, and they were moving away from the light. And I discovered for a lot of the plants, when they start doing this, give them top-down lighting. And I've moved this to a location now, and you can see this one's gone down. You wouldn't have seen it before when it was doing this, but since it's had top-down lighting, it's growing more traditionally. So that is something that we need to remember as well. Some of these plants might be more reactive to forward on light rather than top down light. I know this is going to be a challenge for a lot of people that have only got windows, so the plant will only ever get light from the front. But I'm saying this as well as a bit of a heads up that some plants are going to be the ones that are going to appreciate the top down lighting. So this is going to be one that's going to do well with top down, something like a grow light, or if you've not got just windows, but you've got a skylight, this is going to be something that's going to appreciate being under a skylight. And just to prove my point about kind of cranking up the grow lights, this is how horrendous, and this is one of my original kind of hybrid seedlings that I've done. And obviously there's been some pest damage and there's been some snail damage, because that's a thing that I'm experiencing this winter. But since moving that grow light, brand spanking new leaf. And it's getting more and more kind of beautiful as the time goes on, basically. So top-down lighting has made a big, big difference for a lot of these houseplants, especially even with the Anthuriums. Grow lights that you might have had for them slightly in the summer if you didn't have them in perfect conditions might need a bit of a cranking up, especially now in the winter, because both the light levels and the duration of light is going lower. So crank it up and kind of start adjusting, basically. Bit of a tip for the super geeks out there, if you're using something like the Photon app with a bit of a diffuser as well, and you're checking your light levels, the light levels that I've got these plants on, in case anybody's wondering, on a 14-hour schedule, and they're getting a DLI, again, this is going to speak predominantly to the people that are using the app, of between kind of 5 and 6 DLI for the 14-hour period. Super, super, super well. The other thing that I am testing out, and it's going to take a tiny bit of time, and I will update you as we go through the months, is something that I was thinking, and you know what, I've been meaning to try this for a while for some of my younger Anthuriums. I always struggle a lot more with some of the more diminutive Anthuriums, and I'll show you. So for example, this is absolutely tiny, and it's had some burning because I was giving it the wrong intensity of light at some point. But this is the propagation that I pulled out during one of my repots of the Anthurium erythromoides. Tiny, tiny, tiny. And you can see there is one little root that is happening there, and this is still in sphagnum moss with perlite, just to give you an idea. But the roots have more than doubled since I've started doing this. And this is something that I did a while back, and this is not just the only one. I've got quite a few there. Again, the stronger grow lights that I was talking about. And what I've done with these, and I am testing it out now, is something that I had that moment of kind of inspiration for my big, big Anthurium veitchii. I got it at a similar size to this. And there was a slew of us that got it back then. This is when people couldn't find it very easily. And I think it was from Turnit Tropical. And they were having seedlings. And it wasn't a cheap plant. It was a 3-figure plant at that point for something this small. Keep in mind how much cheaper and easier the veitchii is to find these days. Not the easiest plant, but it's still easier than it was like 4 or 5 years ago. And everybody else's maybe struggled a bit more at that point. And I was doing something because I'm just like, oh, let's try this and see how it goes. And I never made the connection, was that I was growing my Anthurium, my smaller Anthuriums and my Anthurium seedlings, even back then, mainly because the room that I had them wasn't in this. It was my previous property where the light levels weren't great. So it was under a grow light, much like this. But it was on top of a heat mat. And heat mats can be a bit challenging for people, but especially at this time of the year where things are getting colder, I find that a lot of my Anthuriums either stall or really start showing problems, not just to do with the watering, but it's also to do with the fact that their roots are getting colder as well. Not enough to kill the plant, but it's enough to piss it off, if that makes sense. So since I've started using a heat mat, and the heat mat that I'm using is one with a thermostat, so it kind of automatically corrects itself, and you shove it into your smallest pot so that you make sure that the temperature doesn't go much higher than this, and it will thermoregulate to keep the temperature comfortable. I've done it to 25 degrees Celsius under the grow lights that I was talking about before, and the success that I'm having so far. So there wasn't a new growth point on this when I put it on like 10 days ago, and it's already, I can see it swelling up to give me a new leaf. The same thing with another erythromoides that I was having there. Did not have a new leaf coming in. The moment that I put it onto the grow mat or the heat mat, did really, really well. Every other Anthurium that I've got on there at the moment, which is kind of baby Anthuriums, are doing exceptionally well. Would I suggest this for fully mature Anthuriums? They don't need it, generally speaking. And there's going to be a point where you're going to need to transition it off it. And I will say this now before anybody kind of messes up and they kind of come at me. You need to really, really start adjusting your timing in terms of watering with this, because if something that wasn't on a heat mat before, or maybe even getting brighter light before, was getting watered at this time of the year every 5 days, 7 days, 10 days. So this was getting watered like I think every 7 or 8 days roughly. when it was kind of needing to be watered. This is getting watered every 2 days now. So your watering is going to need to go up. Don't ever on a heat mat, ever with an Anthurium, let it go bone dry. You need to capture it just before it goes bone dry. So yes, this is a bit intense. You're going to need to like hover over them, but it's winter time pretty much at this point. Have we got anything better to be doing with our times? It's not like we're stupid busy like we are in the summer trying to care for everything and enjoy the weather and all these things. This is the time of the year where we kind of want things to do. We want to get a bit more involved. There's a lot of people propagating at this time of the year. Heat mats. Heat mats. I would imagine it's the same. I haven't tried it with a philodendron, and you might need slightly lower temperatures for a philodendron. Wonders so far, so far. I will reserve judgment until like a month or two further down the line, and I will give you updates, but so far, so good. But let's do some quick updates on some of the recent plants. So this is the, I'm always going to forget, Microgramma vaccinifolia, and I think a lot of people loved this plant, both on my wish list and on the plants that I recently received in the post, basically. And this is the one that's got slightly kind of insecty type kind of growth pattern. It's got that fuzziness there. You can kind of see it a bit more if I bring it up to the camera properly, and you should be able to see it. Such an unusual looking fern. You wouldn't necessarily assume that it's a fern. Now, the one thing I will say at the moment, there was a single leaf that was coming in that annoyingly I cut off by accident by kind of moving it a bit too aggressively. But by and large, what I'm finding with this is it's sending these kind of tendrils out. There's quite a few little knobs that are happening on the side there. So I'm assuming they're either going to branch out or eventually give me more foliage, but I haven't got new foliage yet. I am seeing slightly kind of thin hair-like structures, but it's doing exceptionally well, especially considering that this is a mounted fern. And the leaves are nice and turgid. This is very, very cool. So far, it's been super easy. And just to give you a bit of context in terms of how often I am watering this, every 4 to 5 days. And it is going more or less bone dry. This is still getting a bit dry at the moment. So very, very cool. I will keep you posted on this. I know there was a lot of people that were very interested in this one. And for the people that were very entertained by the fact that I got another Calathea. So this is a Calathea rosea picta silver plate. It is still doing exceptionally well. So far, touch wood, no spider mites. But it's keeping the coloration. It does its Calathea-esque thing. It's in a different pot with some nice kind of juicy soil, and it's growing in quite nicely. There's a random begonia amphioxus leaf there. But I haven't got a new leaf just yet, but I think I can see it. It's pregnant. It's pregnant. It's got a new baby coming out soon. So far, so good. And you can see some of the people that remember that original video, this was a lot more silver and it's starting to get that purple blush already on the leaves. I'm giving it slightly higher light levels than I would normally do for a Calathea, and it's doing quite well. So far, no crisping either, and I am just giving this regular tap water with the fertilizer in, and the fertilizer is meant to kind of help a bit to take off some of those, to make kind of salt water a bit more bearable for some of these plants. But so far, so good with this one as well. And the one that has truly surprised me, the Alocasia frydek, the variegated form of the Meliscaliciana. So that was the newest leaf, and that came out like a week or two ago. Some of the previous leaves. This is overhead kind of grow light, and there is, I don't know if you can see it there is a new leaf coming in there. The roots are going absolutely bonkers. I was a bit worried that the original soil was a bit too dense there. So what I did is I put Monstera and Philodendron soil mix at the bottom. You can see the roots are even coming out of the bottom really well. And it's actually giving it a bit of a combination, because you can see, hopefully you might be able to see, there's a bit of a gap between the internal soil and the rest of the pot there. And actually the roots I thought were going to struggle, but they are doing super well. I'm not even got any of the browning happening. Granted, it is in here, but so far, so good with this. And remember what I said, I did not take it out of its original soil mix. I've just added some extra soil at the bottom. That's why I didn't fill in those gaps. I was a bit worried, but actually those roots, and I don't know whether or not it's going to come up on the screen, are nice and fuzzy and very healthy looking. So surprisingly okay for now. And you knew I had to bring up the new begonia seismorii. The foliage is doing well. The blooms are kind of slowly dying off, but that's fine at this time of the year. This is doing exceptionally well, exceptionally well. But I knew this. There's a reason why this has been one of my firm favorites. Also, absolutely thanks to everybody that sent name suggestions on that video. Truly appreciated. It gave me no end of joy. No end of joy. Ah, you are so ingenious, all of you. Because obviously the original one is Chewbacca or Chewie, and there was a Chewie 2.0. There was so many good suggestions, even ones that kind of veered away from that kind of Star Wars theme. Loved all of them. I have not picked a name yet. I have got that list, and it's been a bit of a November. And December's going to be tricky and busy for me as well, but I do want to sit down over the Christmas period and just select a name, because there were so many great options, so many great options, but doing really well, unsurprising to me and possibly anybody else who has grown this plant. Super happy, and just gets on with it. If you ever, for me, again, my experience is mileage might vary, but this is a begonia that for me is a bit of a plug and play, and like put it somewhere and let it kind of do its own thing. And on the point of plug and play, there was a suggestion by one of you lovely individuals from a previous video that made me snigger and giggle for hours, and it was plug and pray. As in, like, plants that you got thinking or being told that they were super easy, and they really weren't, at least in my own personal experience, or your own basically. Love that as a video topic idea, and that will 100% be happening very soon. It might even be one of the ones I film next week. It tickled me crazy, basically. I was just like, oh, I love that, the plug and pray. Because when I first read it, I was like, what? I'm just like, oh, sorry. I am easily entertained, so easily entertained. And also, on one of the plants that was recently propagated or recently potted up from my propagation box, the Paleonia pulchra is doing exceptionally well. It looks like it's finally rooted in. I literally, the way that I put this in, there was a tiniest bit of roots, and I just kind of shoved it on top, put some of them in the soil, and built the soil around it. The fact that they are not shifting in the slightest bit means that they've already started to root in. This for me is a super easy plant, and it is one that generally I find tends to do okay with slightly lower light conditions. So if I've got somewhere where I can't get it directly underneath a grow light, and this one will not like being directly underneath a grow light, somewhere where it's like to the side of a grow light and it's getting kind of the light that nobody else would like, this one will grow super happily, and it gets absolutely stinking huge. Oh, cannot tell you how happy I am to have this back out and about in the collection rather than just in a prop box. And this is a plant that I haven't shown you for a while, and this is a plant that's annoyingly, because it's been chewed on by slugs and snails, but this is the Rhaphidophora corthalii, I think. I'll put the name at the top, I cannot remember right now, but looky, and you can see where it's been chewed, and you can see where it's been chewed there. It's so frustrating and annoying, but it is doing really well. It is kind of attaching to the moss pole and going into the moss pole, and it's getting bigger and bigger leaves. And the thing that I wasn't expecting for this is it's so velvety. But you can see why when I got it, I wanted it, because of the foliage was like really kind of long, velvety, and just beautiful, just absolutely stunning. This is not getting a huge volume of light from a grow light, but it's still doing really well, and it's one that I think deserves a bit of a spotlight. Also, I don't know if it's going to come up on the screen here, it's quite far away at this point. My Vitarifolium is mid-flower, and I've kind of left it with flower at this time of the year because I'm just like, I could take it off, but this is the time of the year where my Vitarifolium really just takes a chill pill and just relaxes for the winter months and doesn't really push out an awful lot of leaves. So I'm just like, you know what? You want to think that you're going to procreate? Please be my guest. At this point, it's not going to do anything else, so I'm letting it have its bloom up until Christmas. It's my Christmas gift to it, and then I'll take it off and it will go back to being normal. Also, a propagation from a couple of repots ago. I think this was a couple of repots ago. I'm hoping I did this on video and not just off video. But this is a propagation of the Syngonium chiapens, and you can kind of see down there, some of the more washed out leaves, further up, and it's kind of attached itself to the moss pole, doing really, really well. Do I think this needs a moss pole? Not necessarily. Do I think it needs a moss pole in order to start getting some of the bigger leaves? Yes. So do with that as what you will, basically. But by and large, super easy plant. Literally with this one, I took a cutting from the top of the plant. It had a couple of aerial roots and I just shoved it into some soil. With 3 leaves, I think. Was it 3 leaves? 1, 2, 3 leaves. Yeah, these 3 were the original. These will come afterwards. Can you see the roots at the bottom? Some of them have been sitting in a bit of water, so there's a tiny bit of rot that is happening there that I can remove it. But by and large, as with most Syngoniums, they'll just keep doing what they need to do. And I don't think that's talked about enough for Syngoniums. And I think they had their moment and they kind of disappeared from everybody's purview. But we need to give credit to the Syngoniums because they will take a beating. They will take a beating from the underwaterers and they will take a beating from the overwaterers. They might not look their best at some point if they've been abused for a long period of time, but by and large, they just keep on trying to survive. So something to be said about Syngoniums, and we need to give them a bit of extra love, I think, at this time. But yes, the Syngonium chippence will always be one of my diehards. It's just the texture is like rubber. So what I'm hoping to do is let this grow a bit bigger, and this is going to then transition to regular household humidity, and this will go in one of my bathrooms, which doesn't have huge levels of light, but this one will do well. And I'm kind of training it because it's much lower on the ground and it's getting shaded by other things. So it might not be growing as fast as my kind of mother plant that's right behind the camera, but I want it to be a bit more accustomed to slightly lower light levels because where it's going, it's going to have slightly lower light levels, if that makes sense. And let's wrap up with a plant that you might have not have seen for a long time. Look, it's got this newest leaf and it's so long and it's so like wide at this point. The Anthurium Wendlingrii. And it's doing super well. I always find with this one, maybe it's just getting too much light in the summer months. I always tend to find that it grows more and more consistently in the winter for me, and it's probably to do with light levels, if I'm being honest. But it's doing so well, and this is giving me all of the joys because this is getting bigger and bigger, and it's been steadily growing. You can kind of see the foliage there. I'm trying to see if there's any pests on this. No, I think it's maybe just some, is there? I don't know. No, I think that's just some like salt buildup actually. But super well, and actually it's not been a fussy plant in the slightest. The roots are doing quite well. I am very much treating this like the Batarifolium and any other strappy type of Anthurium where this will go dry before I water it. So very cool plant. Still massively enjoying it. It's not giving me a bloom. Do I think I'm going to get a bloom this year? Probably not. And if I do, it won't have that kind of corkscrew vibe that everybody wants from the Wendlingrii. But maybe another year or two before I get any kind of substantial bloomage of this one. But very cool. Still think it's an underrated plant. I really hope that this does come down in price because this is a very cool strappy leaf Anthurium. I know the Pallidiflorum, I think is the other one. People were saying, and everybody was just like, oh, you can get it super easily and it's kind of easy to take care of. I hear you on the easy to take care of because everybody's saying the same thing usually means good things. But at the moment, I cannot find it anywhere, I don't think, or at least nothing at a reasonable enough price that I want to purchase it for. But hopefully soon. But yes, the Anthurium Wendlingrii doing all right. Right, I think I might leave it there so the video doesn't become super long. This was just going to be a bit of a quick update. Heads up for anybody that might be interested. Hopefully the next weekend I'm going to be filming my pre-Christmas kind of sit down and repot with me, where we can all kind of have a good chat, get ready before the holiday season, so to speak. Last year's one where we all kind of touch base, I think, was appreciated not just by myself, but by a lot of you. So I'm hoping to do something similar this year, just a really fun, chilled out repot before the holidays, just so we can all go back down to zero before the madness all starts. So bear that in mind. I will put the kind of quick announcement either on my communities tab on YouTube or on Instagram as well, where you can send in your discussion topics or questions. And yes, I think I shall let you be here. Also, let me know if you want any kind of plants that I probably there's going to be at least a few of you that I did not show the plant that you were hoping for me to have an update on this video. Let me know down below and I will see if I can add that into the repot as well. So yes, hopefully you've all enjoyed. Hopefully I shall see you here soon. And I truly, truly hope that you have a great rest of your day. Thanks. Bye.